Well, good evening, everybody. It's 8 o'clock and we are doing our first virtual support session. Nobody did submit any questions to me, so what we're going to do tonight is just go through a few basics of Basecamp so that you can all see what that looks like and get used to going through and changing profiles and everything that you need there. So what I'm going to do right now is share my screen and just kind of go through a few of those things at this time. So what I've done is I've already gone in and I've logged in. If I were to go back to the home page, we'd be at Toastmasters International. You'll want to go to Pathways. And then you can access any of these. If you have not yet, I highly recommend that you take your assessment, choose your path, get into Basecamp, see what all the hype is. It's a very intuitive system. I really enjoyed taking the assessment. And I found out I'm leadership development. That's what I'm going to be doing for the next while working in Pathways. And I'm actually going to be giving my icebreaker speech tomorrow. So I'm very excited and ready to get started in this. So once you're in the Pathways tab, go ahead and go to Basecamp. Here you're going to see three options. First, you can either go to choose your path, continue to your path selection. You can take your assessment there. You can access your path through Basecamp, or you can go to the Navigator. Now, if you remember from our trainings, the Navigator was, hello? Oh, someone just chimed in. Hello?
Hi.
I can't quite see who you are.
Janet.
Hi, Janet, how are you?
Good.
Good. Well, it's just me and you.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's okay. I was just recording away at my little conversation, but that's all right.
Okay.
So what I'm doing right now, Janet, can you see my screen that says the Toastmasters International stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I was gonna do is just kind of go through the different things that we have access to now. I saw that you did sign up to do Pathways, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yay. So I'm gonna just kind of show everybody what they're going to need to know. And then for you, since you're our VPE right now, how to change to be the Basecamp manager, which is gonna be one of those things that we'll need to do.
Okay.
So I'm gonna hide your little thing there. All right, so you can see here, Janet, I have the Access My Path through Basecamp. If you are a member of more than one club, you'll be able to select which club you want to be in right there. I'm obviously only USD area Yap and Yotes or a guide, but I don't need to do that one anymore. And so here you can log in as a member. That's where you're going to access your information, or log in as Basecamp manager. I'm just going to quick show you the difference there because this is the first time I've been able to see that. And it's going to be important for you, for all of the VPEs, and anyone that's coming on in a leadership role as president, VPE, or secretary of the club. Okay, so any pending requests, this would be when a member requests a level approval, it's going to show up in here. So you're really going to have to be kind of on the ball with getting into Basecamp and approving those requests. Obviously, we don't have anything in here yet because nobody has anything to approve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is, it's nice to know that you don't have anything to do right now.
Yeah.
But once we do get people approving and filling out those levels, you're going to see this fill up, and you're going to have to approve them, much like you would if you had to fill out the back of the book for our manual projects. So that's the difference there. Okay. I'm going to go back here. And then member progress. Now, I kind of played around with this, and I love numbers and statistics and graphs and all of that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I know. And so you're going to see that. So this is the USD area Yap and Yotes for those that are going to watch this via the recorded session. And so your clubs are all going to have this very similar progress. And you have 5 different tabs here. So the individual progress, path type, recently selected paths, and external training. In each of these, know that you're going to have to go to this option and refresh immediately. Like right when you log in, I didn't see anything. And I was like, where's all of my data? I know that I'm in there, so I should see something. And I didn't realize that if I pushed refresh and this options tab right there, that everything would refresh and I'd be able to see exactly where everybody was. Now, what these individual things mean, I'm not entirely sure, but I believe that it's level 1 progress for effective coaching. And if we had more than one person doing effective coaching, instead of saying user ID 1, it would say user ID 2. But again, since we only have limited numbers of people that are accessing this right now, I can't see exactly what it is. I know that USD Yap and Yotes does have 4 people in pathways at this time. So there's a whole bunch of little drop downs. You can export all of this to Excel if you're that type of person. You can refresh these individually. So instead of doing the options and refreshing all of them, you could just refresh this particular progress. And if you scroll down, oh, come on, you'll be able to see level 2 progress. So, well, maybe that's the answer to my question right there. The level 1 progress, we have 4 people right at that cusp of being done with their level 1, because level 1s are fairly simple. It's your icebreaker. But once you get to level 2, 3, 4, you're going to see that there's probably going to be a lot more at the 0.5 level or the 0.6 level as opposed to being at a 1. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're looking at there, which is kind of a fun one to check. Each of these is going to be relatively the same. So the path progress, it's where they are at in the path as opposed to individually. So you can see I'm in progress, registered, all of that good stuff. So I've gone into my path for leadership development. I'm pretty sure that effective coaching is Jen Hovland. And so we can see that we are both in progress, whereas the other 2 are registered. Maybe you haven't opened up your transcript yet. And that way you can kind of see where everybody's at, as opposed to kind of question marking. So we're in progress. And if we go down here, obviously this represents the 2 that are right here, the presentation, mastery, and strategic relationships. It's just kind of a breakdown for you. And then the fun ones, paths completed. It's going to be a while before we have anyone completing a path for sure, but all of that will be filled in as we go. And again, I'm going to save some time here with the path type, the recently selected paths and external trainings. All of that is going to be filled in as we go. It's going to become a little bit more difficult, not difficult, but a lot more to do and a lot more to look at. Right now, it's just not, there's just not a lot there, is really what it comes down to. But once we do get all of that information in, we are going to be asking the VPEs, obviously, to be keeping track of this, the same as they would scheduling the meetings, making sure people are accomplishing their goals, and just really getting into the system. Well, so that's what we're looking at there. Oh, come on. So if I go back to my home, I'm going back to the Basecamp Manager home. And then the pending requests is where, oh yeah, we already did that one. I'm sorry, it's been a very long day. If you have questions about any of Basecamp Manager, they have manager tutorials. So each of these breaks down exactly what we just saw there, but it's going to be a better picture of everything that we just saw. So the tracking of your progress, level completions, all of that is available for you to kind of read through. What's also nice about that is it's going to be available to whoever becomes the next Basecamp managers. So Janet, you kind of block out any other VPEs or presidents, secretaries that will not be holding those positions or one of those other positions during this next year. You have to know what's going on, but there's no way that you're going to learn this all within the next month and a half until the new leadership team takes over. So they're going to need to know where all of this is too. So again, when you log in as a Basecamp manager, direct them immediately to all of these fun resources. And yes, it's going to take some time to get through, but if you're anything like me, it's better to learn by having a hands-on sort of training as opposed to just being told about it. And then they can kind of complete this at their leisure. So when something comes up, they can go right to level completion. They can go to any of the other information that you're looking at in there. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the home page. if you are wanting to leave your Basecamp manager and go back to your Pathways start page, they have that available right there for you. Visit the Pathways start page. And so instead of doing the Basecamp manager, which I was just in, I'm going to log in as a member, which is going to be right here. And as we said in our training sessions with all of the clubs, we can go through a great big tour of this the first time you log in. This is the first time I'm logging in on this particular computer. So if you're changing devices, you may get these messages all the time. Just go ahead and exit out or click the next if you want to go through all of the touring again. And here we have all of the access to everything that we've looked at so far. So again, navigating Basecamp, this is going to be important for new members that can no longer anymore use the traditional education program. They must use Pathways. So if you don't know what's going on, they might not know what's going on, you can go ahead and navigate Basecamp, which is going to be much like what we saw in the Basecamp manager, how to get through things, how to provide feedback, recognition, all of that's going to be available right there. So I'm going to go back to the home page. And then, like we said, the education transcript, this is where you're going to actually find your path and your activities. Everything is available right here. So my evaluation resource for the icebreaker, I'm going to be giving this to my evaluator tomorrow. I have it printed off and ready to go. I'm actually pretty excited about that one. And I've got my leadership development open curriculum right here. So if I wanted to go in there, I can see it's in progress. This is more of the technical side of things. I can see if I've done everything, due date, the type, the selection. But if I go back a screen, I'm just going to click the back button. And if I go back down to my leadership development and go to the open curriculum, here I'll see a little bit better view of what I'm looking at. So my icebreaker, I can launch this and it's going to pop out with all of the resources that we've been talking about. It's a lot more hands-on. Like I get different types of surveys. How do you feel about this? Where do you think your strengths are? What are things you need to work at? I just got a message saying that my internet connection was spotty. So hopefully we can get this on there. So if I go ahead and expand this for you, I'm actually at the end of my icebreaker. So my next step after I give my icebreaker would be to assess my skills. How do I feel about these different things? Once I'm done with that, I will submit for a level completion. And so Janet, that's when you get to actually log into Basecamp as the manager and approve my level completion. So hopefully by Thursday, when we have our next support session at noon, we'll be able to show you what that looks like a little bit more too. So all of that is available right here. I'm going to close out of this. And you can see that my curriculum, currently I'm at 0%. I haven't completed anything because I need to do my icebreaker. And then if I were to go to level 2, I can't get into any of these because they're grayed out for me. And level 3, same thing. I can't get into this because I've not yet completed level 1. You need to complete the level before you move on to another level. So those are just some of the things that I've been kind of playing around with in Basecamp. Jen, have you been in there at all or just kind of selected your path?
I selected my path and I was in here because I was trying to figure out, like in the book, when it says your icebreaker and explains what is expected of you, that's what I was looking for.
Okay.
So I'm at where you're at, where it says launch.
Uh-huh.
Does it give you directions on what they're looking for in your icebreaker?
It does, yeah. So if I were to go to launch, and I can do this again for you quick. So this is, that's actually a really good question, especially for a first session like this. So if I'm in here, this is my curriculum. I can actually move all the way back to the beginning. So I'm going to go to the navigation. So this is for every icebreaker, you're going to see kind of the same format. It kind of tells you exactly what to do, how to get to where you're going. So I'm just going to go forward. It tells you your introduction. So much like the manuals, you've participated in an icebreaker speech. We all, we've all done that. Many of us have already done our icebreakers with the traditional education program. But once you get in there, it's going to talk exactly about what the project is, what you're expected to do, all of that, and how to kind of work this system. So here's your assignment. It gives you all these, anything that you can click on, I suggest you click on it. So here's the project checklist. So right now I've already scheduled my speech with you, Janet, as my VP. I've written my speech, I've rehearsed my speech, and the next thing I have to do is I have to assess myself. So that was that very last step that we saw there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go ahead and close that down. Probably should have pushed the back button. Oh, no, there we go. So once we get in there, and I mean, you can go through these. I've done all of the assessing of my skills. I've done all of that, but you can go through and read each question. It just kind of gives you an idea about where you're at with things. This one I gave myself a 3. I'm aware, sometimes I don't know how I need to improve, and that's not saying it's good or bad. I talk a lot, and I sometimes feel that I don't listen so much. So, but sometimes I do, and so I gave myself a 3. It's really what you think you're good at and where you need to improve. And then when you're looking at the competencies, these are competencies for your icebreaker. Recognize the elements of basic speech. We've all done that before. So the icebreaker is really a lot like what we do in the Competent Communicator Manual. Not a lot has changed with that. But once you get past that level 1, past the icebreaker, that's when it really breaks out into the different paths. Even level 2 is pretty much the same for each, but you'll get into those other projects. And so you can see there's fun videos that you can watch, and I'm going to pause it. And it goes through what they're expecting you to know, gives you really good tips, be calm, take a deep breath. It's okay not to be perfect. All of that's really good. And then it also goes through the, so this is an outline or a worksheet that you can print off, or you can even type in here. So I can type in my speech title, learning. I'd probably have to download it, but I could type in there, learning together. And then the main points I want to talk about, reason for joining Toastmasters, if that's what you want to talk about, your goals. So it's got a lot more resources, I think, than the actual traditional education program, because it puts it together in a nice framework, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I've really enjoyed that part too. I mean, even, having given dozens, maybe even hundreds of speeches at this point, it's nice to have that format, especially for a beginning Toastmaster. So again, organizing your speech, you've got most people know that opening, body, conclusion, topic, and then once you go through prepare and present, we know all that. Gives you some more really good tips here. It's just, like I say, there's just a lot more with this than I think there was with the manual. So again, you can click on all these. It talks about the organization. So once you get all the way through, relax, breathe, and enjoy. I'm almost, let's see. And you can skip through different points. Right now I'm after my speech. Review and apply, complete your assignment, evaluation, and then assess your skills. So the evaluation is the actual resource that I'm going to be given, and my evaluator tomorrow, I believe, is Lauren Hollenbeck, who is another one of our executive committee members for our club at Yap and Yotes. But all of your resources are going to be available right at the end there, and you can see 5 is exemplary, 4 excels, and if you want, you can look and see exactly what they're looking for here. When you say I'm a 5, it means I engage the audience completely. If I were a 3, let's look at that same, I demonstrate awareness of the audience. If I were a 1, I make little or no attempt to engage the audience. So it even gives you a better idea of where you stand, and if you're being honest with yourself, if you're being true to what you want to learn with this. Obviously no one should ever be all 5s. No one's ever going to be all 1s. Everybody has something they need to work on in here. And this is also where you can print so if you want to do the print version, you could do a print my project, which is right here. And it actually gives you the project like we just saw in Basecamp. in a printed version. So if you like having the paper copy of what you're supposed to be doing, you can absolutely do that right here. It even includes some of the surveys that you're asked to give. So a pre-project, post-project. It is 23 pages long, but if you are contemplating doing the paper version or the Basecamp version, know that this is still available to you, and you can print it off directly from your path. So that's something to consider. I need to move this. There we go. So those are all different things to kind of be aware of when you're getting into your path and checking things out. Once you're finished, at the very end there, and I didn't get a chance to point that out, you do also have, oh, I can point it out, I can go back into my path here, and I'll go to the very end, maybe. We'll get back in here, and if I go all the way to the end, like I said, it's going to start off right from where you left off every time you log back into your path. So when I'm here, you can also find your evaluation resource. So this is what your evaluator will need in order to evaluate your speech. So this is what we talked about with that 3-page form when I did the club visits, where we have the first page, kind of a general overview of what's going on. The second page will look at more of the individual items, the clarity, eye contact, and then the third page goes through what those things mean. What does it mean? What does clarity mean? Excels at communicating using the spoken word, audience awareness. That way, when you get an evaluation, even if you're a novice evaluator, you'll have a better idea about what we're looking for as far as a good evaluation. So that is available right there. And let's see. I have this thing that keeps popping down at me, and it's not really helpful. All right. So, but if I were wanting to find the evaluation resource without having to log all the way back in, say I know that I'm doing my icebreaker speech, I can also log into the speech evaluation section on my Basecamp homepage, and I can find the same exact evaluation resource right there. I would just click on icebreaker, and remember that all of those are listed alphabetically. So I'm going to go ahead and launch, and you're going to see it's going to be that exact same 3-page form. So I can either print it off here, I can save it as a PDF and then send it to my evaluator, or the club can keep copies of these resources on hand. That's completely up to you. But for our sake, I think for the sake of most clubs and for consistency, try to keep it at least the same way for everyone, or know that one person likes it sent to them via PDF, some person likes it to have the written copy. All of that is just fine. So that's what we need to look at there, just to make sure that you know where that evaluation resource is, especially when we get new members in and they're doing their icebreakers through Basecamp now. The other thing that I've not played around with too much, I haven't had a lot of time, is the tutorials and resources. So this is going to be a list of all the extras that we have now. So the tutorials, the project descriptions. So if I'm looking for, I want to do English. Let's see if we can find, I believe that these are all going to be in here in alphabetical order too. So the icebreaker project, the project description is right here as well, and I can launch that. All the time you're going to need to launch, and again, remember that you need to have pop-ups allowed on your computer. So this is all that the project description is. Very sweet, to the point, but those are going to become a little bit more intense as you move on through your paths, especially starting with path level 3 through 5. Okay, so that is a little bit about what's going on in Basecamp. And so, Janet, do you have any other questions at this moment?
Not really.
Not really. Perfect. And that's okay. I was not expecting this to take the whole hour, and it's kind of nice for me to go through that as well so that we can see everything, know what's going on. But that's it's a lot. It's good information, and once we get more people in there, I did, and I'm going to have to ask if you can see this since you're in Basecamp too. I did request feedback for my speech tomorrow. I want to know about my organization. So when you log into Basecamp, I want to know how that looks for you. I want to know if you can see that I requested that.
Okay.
So you'll have to let me know tomorrow after my speech or before my speech when I see you next.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's a lot, and but it's good. It's really good information. So anyway,
Once you get
what was that?
into it, it seems easier than the presentation that was brought to us at the beginning.
It is. I mean, it's so conceptual to say this is how it's going to be and this is what they tell me. Once you get in there and play around with it, it's really not that difficult. And it takes a few clicks and it might seem scary at first, but just know you can't break it. Even if you launch a project that you're not doing, it doesn't mean you actually have to do anything with it. It's just going to sit there, which is fine. And the whole system itself, going through the different paths, it doesn't seem like it's going to be overwhelming. Like I say, for a vice president of education or president, secretary, anybody that's a Basecamp manager, there might be a little bit more to do. But even then, you saw I just did it in 30 seconds. It's not something that's going to take an exorbitant amount of time. Mm-hmm. So, but we'll find out after tomorrow because I'll complete my icebreaker and my level 1, and we'll see how that all works. And so you'll have to let me know if it was as easy as they tell me it's supposed to be. All right. Well, I don't think we need to take up any more time tonight, and so I'll let you go, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Well, I won't be there, but Diana will.
Okay. Well, I'll see Diana tomorrow, and then she can tell me how it went. Now, she's going to be working in there too, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
She's supposed to start.
Don't worry. I live with somebody that has said the exact same thing to me. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you, Janet. Have a very good night. We'll talk to you soon.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.